to be on Coherence for the first time.
Yeah, cool. So this conversation series is around this idea of Odax OS, which is I'm looking at this intersection of realities within which I'm always trying to build organizations, and many people around me are, which means distributed, so remote first.
Yes.
People, and these days you can be distributed even if everybody lives in the same town, if you aren't coming to an office every day, right? And
Right.
there's many organizations which are local, but in actual fact, people meet, every few weeks at best, less often, oftentimes. So you're still a distributed organization. Then fractional, which means people are working, many, if not most of the people in the organization are working on other projects as well,
Yes.
on other things. And then inward and outward purposeful is how I'm describing it now, meaning inward purposeful, meaning trying to be a nice place where we can bring our whole selves, where we can learn, develop, be a humane, a good organization internally.
Yes.
In outward purposeful, meaning we're trying to do something good in the world and trying to improve the state of reality beyond just mere we make lots of money.
Thank you. I align so much and resonate.
So it's a beautiful, well, I mean, the first part, the distributed and fractional, is becoming much more common, and you can be a extractive, etc. organization, whatever.
Yeah.
However, internally, and interestingly enough, for me, it was a eye-opening thing, but I talked to a bunch of people, and this has been widely confirmed in many conversations now. Many not-for-profits are quite toxic and horrible workplaces.
Agreed.
I'm sure not everybody, but it's common. So you can be externally well-intentioned and internally horrible.
Yeah.
And I imagine it would probably be hard to be internally well-intentioned whilst producing hatred or etc. But I can imagine it's possible, right? You have people that have, and actually maybe even quite common, right? Because if you have groups that are internally isolationist and hermetic,
yeah,
and that often goes hand in hand with hatred to other outside groups. Anyways, the opposite of all of that. So internal, external, purposeful, and it's a beautiful set of inspirations. And I've been trying to do this in various forms: for profit, not for profit, bigger and smaller, for over 10 years, and being 10 or 15 years, and been around people that have been in this space. And I just see, I will go so far as to say, suffering. In the sense, there is so much goodwill, so much attention, so much hope and positive energy, and people break themselves over and over and over again on the iceberg of it's so hard to build an organization in this reality. So this is the exploration. And the way I describe it in a metaphor is, I want to go to the grocery store or to the market to get a bunch of good stuff to feed my family and cook a meal.
Yeah.
And I am thrown into a giant warehouse and told, all the parts of a car are probably here. The shelves are labeled more or less, good luck.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to be a car mechanic, let alone a car builder.
Yes.
I maintain my car, I follow the instructions, but I just want to get in, turn the key, and go.
Yeah.
And this is my question, my inquiry. Can we create now with agents as guides?
Uh-huh.
And also, because I really do think that most, if not all, of the pieces for what it takes to build this kind of an organization are out there one way or another. But we just need them assembled in a package where people can just come in, turn the key, and go. And look, like there's lots of people that love to be car mechanics, and
Yeah.
some people that love to be car builders.
Sure.
But it's not most people. And also, we cannot require somebody to gain the expertise of a car builder or assembler
Yes.
in order to go to the shops to feed their family.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. So that's the kind of framing of this inquiry. And I see you nodding a lot, so I
Yes,
think
I'm with you.
got questions, and I think you're with me. So I'll go to the first question, and I'd love to hear what your experience has been with this kind of starting with the first part. So distributed fractional type of orgs.
Yes.
Uh, what has been your experience and what you see as challenges in these ways of organizing?
Sure. I mean, I started working from home with a tech company in 1999.
Wow.
Back then, um, and uh, and that was different. That was tricky. I took the job especially because it had this option, and I could work when I wanted to. Uh, I could sync up online. It was an internet security firm, and then we did start getting pulled into the office more and more. And I tell you that kind of ruined it for me. I was ready. I didn't have the enthusiasm for the company for other reasons too, and the .com bust didn't help anything at that point. But that has been my life since that time, working 3 or 4 different projects and playing on the synergy of those projects to collaborate and to have multiple inputs from it. And I continue in that right now. So yeah, all for it around that part of what you're up to, the fractional part.
So, what do you see as the challenges around this fractional distributed ways of working?
Um,
What do you experience?
staying synced up, knowing what your forgetting window is or enthusiasm window is. For me, I think for anybody, there's some point at which if you're not vested enough in a project, you lose memory about it, and then it's harder to come back to it. And sometimes it's a seasonal thing. For me, at Burning Man, I forget about things or I'm not doing much, and then a year later I'm way deep in it and I know it. And the brain has ways of working with that, and I bet AI could help a whole lot with kind of getting people caught up to speed and dealing with the fractional nature, the way it holds memory.
Cool. I'm interested that you don't, and it's great if you haven't experienced this, but maybe it's also because you've been working remotely for so long, you've forgotten
Yeah.
how the other way is. But you haven't mentioned the human side around culture, connection, the softer side of knowing whether we're in alignment, whether we're in sync, and so on and so forth.
Oh well, certainly that yeah goes without saying somehow. And from my point, I've had to become super adaptive to everybody else's work style, and I think I'm particularly good at that, and most people aren't. And it's where I've been able to be a leader in taking in people's contributions at the way they have time or not to, and assessing that and figuring out if it's worthwhile to even go down that path with them. And again, AI would be really nice to have that built into it so that when somebody wanted to come and contribute, they could. I since 17, I started out as a volunteer firefighter, and I loved how we organized as a decentralized group that had information technology, and that time pagers, to bring us together for both emergency and non-emergency cases. And it was a big point of my life in that time to meet people where they were at to contribute to further that cause. And that may mean an administrative member who's in past retirement, in retirement, but they could do some bookkeeping, or they could do any other number of administrative tasks, and others that were just raring to go to just make the big fire get put out or otherwise. So it's in my DNA and my blood to meet people where they're at, and I think there's a lot to be said for teaching other people how to do that, or getting people better, because some people don't have patience, they don't see the big picture, and it does mess up the organizational structure and the coherence.
Yeah. And I think it's certainly in my interactions with you, I found you to be a incredibly. I think you must be one of the most amicable people I've met in my life. And yeah, I think it's definitely required for remote work, for people to be just more empathetic, more generous in their interpretation, right? Oh, you said something, it sounded mean, but maybe I just misunderstood. And I'm going to go for the I just misunderstood interpretation until proven otherwise. Because I know if I go with the you're a mean human being interpretation, it's still possible, right? It's not about being a pushover and a rollover, but it's about being much less reactive from the get-go, right? And it's also interesting because there is this longer term thing of how do you still set boundaries, right? Because the shadow side of being amicable and nice is you just don't set boundaries, and people who are either not nice or who are not delivering just end up taking your time and energy. So
And
it's
that is a big how do I say, a kryptonite for me. I've been taken advantage many times, currently getting taken advantage by people as we speak, and so it goes.
Sorry to hear that. Cool. So going to the next question, when we go to these internally purposeful, externally purposeful organizations, how do you, which are really, it is different. And especially when you're trying to be internally, intentionally nice and a holistic organization. What's your experience been? What are the challenges here?
Can you say that in a different way? Like, for this organization, like, I'm a part of Camp Contact, which is probably the first organization I'm going to talk about. What specifically?
Yeah, so I can tell you something that I am working through and trying to wrap my head around in this kind of way, is that I've seen repeatedly in the things that I've tried to bring together, and I see, these kinds of things, right? These frameworks or mental models. Once you see the model, you cannot, but you see it everywhere, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Sure.
And the pattern that, and I have no idea how to solve this. And let me say this in a integrative way. The space of purposeful work, in general, the world is full of traumatized people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If the workplace is take your shit, leave it at home, if you suffer too much, maybe we will pay for your therapist, but don't bring that crap here. I'm not saying this is healthy or good, but this allows you an organization to function
Yes. Okay.
because people go home and cry,
Right.
but when they come to the office, they grind through.
Yeah.
It's not a great place to work. It doesn't create beautiful creative work, but it allows an organization to grind through.
Thank you.
If you create a place where you're bringing your whole self,
Yes.
we are open and all of this, then you have, and look, I'm in that position too, right? It's not like I'm not saying that I'm any better, but you have a lot of people that like I'm actually crying, breaking down, and I feel horrible.
Yep.
And then what do you do? How do you create this space? Because we are trying to get stuff done.
Yes.
I do feel empathic for you, but we're a small collaboration of 3 to 5 people with a limited budget or no budget trying to move forward.
Yep.
And your 30, or in my case, 53-year-old trauma,
Yes.
we do not have a vessel that can hold and support you through that level of challenge.
Thank you. Love this question.
Right? And this is like, I love you. I want to support you. I have my own little project or little event or little whatever.
Yes.
And there isn't enough space in this vessel
Right.
to support you.
Right. Yeah. So my answer or my direction in this is this idea of deliberately developmental spaces. And that means that every team member does have some developmental awareness, has the tooling, and the collaborative efforts of it support one another. One, the leader is not required to have this put on them, and as a leader, I can pick out the people with the mommy issues and the daddy issues real fast, as I bet you can too, Victor. And you just know to like stay away from that or put somebody else on it. There has to be a uniting vision and goal, an attractor in an organization, maybe an abstract, but setting that tone. And to the extent that your people can see where growth can happen and you can synergize around these traumas. I mean, you can also really leverage these traumas sometimes. You also can let them be the juice that feeds somebody, or find that place where this pain point that person has, or make sure they have it, and that ends up being a huge productivity boost for the organization. And that's certainly what I try and do, and it ends up being a deferral. Like, yes, this is an issue, and you have this issue, and here's the way that it comes. And these things don't get solved overnight. They don't get resolved directly the way a lot of the work needs to resolve things directly in coding, in capacity building. But to set that tone, to not ignore the traumas, but also to not feed the traumas, and to name the patterns to the person, saying, I see this pattern again. Like, what, WTF, this is not cool, this is not what we're about. And we value you for who you are and what you're doing, and we can get there somehow. So that's what I'm working through and wanting to do. There's a great group called Life Itself down in France that has written papers. Rufus Pollock has written papers about this. There's another workspace called deliberately developmental organizations, which I just learned about at DWeb.
I read the book, or at least
Okay.
I read half of the book, and it's interesting because it comes not from a green space; it comes from a corporate, like a top corporate space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and the thought that comes to me now is that like we're not even just asking people to build a car.
Yeah.
Car, aka, in the 1970s, my father did a lot of maintenance on his car.
Aha.
And I imagine if it was like on a VW Bug, right? I imagine you or I could get in there. But we're asking people to build a hybrid.
Right. Love it.
It's even more.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. And yeah, I mean, this is this whole space that we need to give tools and this to be explored because and then there is how do we do assessments? It's in this conversation somebody mentioned whole people make whole organizations.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, good luck finding whole people. Hook me up with those. Nobody's whole, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's in a way what we're trying to do is to create whole organizations from imperfect people on the journey. At the same time, as you pointed out, there needs to be a baseline and this understanding that we are on a journey and a baseline of people being in fact excited when they're called out on their patterns.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, right. There I am doing it again. And actually, I need it for myself, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
people tell you, oh, like you do this thing, da da da. And I'm like, just please poke me when I do it in the moment.
Uh-huh.
Right? Don't tell me 3 months later, oh, this is like, it's so hard, right?
Yeah.
Poke me in the moment,
Yeah.
within reason, of course, right?
Sure.
But like, poke me and do it in the moment. Let's develop a hand signal if it's that frequent.
Mm-hmm.
It needs an openness and an eagerness to learn and to develop.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so we really need people to understand, I think, at one level that this building stuff is hard.
Sure.
And at another level, that what we really are trying to do is very different.
Mm.
The last 150 years of organizing, right? Since the industrial, people came to the industrial revolution. They're like, oh, we need to build factories and companies and this and that. Like, how do we organize? They look left, they look right. They had the military and they had the church.
Yeah.
Those were the two key references for how to build large organizations.
Right.
And that, I mean, you know, you look around and you learn from what's around you. And that influence is still strongly imbued in what a corporation looks like today.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, now that I think about it, I wonder how much of our societal CEO worship
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I love it, Victor. Yes.
is a continuation, right? Like, you know,
Elon is such a Jesus for us. What the hell? For some people.
I wish he was a Jesus. He's like he's like an evil pope somewhere along the way.
Yes.
But definitely one which everybody looks up to and both looks up to, hates, fears, and like this whole, but runs a massive organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is so many. The leadership question is a key part of it, and this is something in this purposeful alternative organization space, especially when you have people that come. You're familiar with spiral dynamics?
I'm very much immersed in it. I was at Icon in 2025.
Okay. So if we look at people who are deep in the green mindset, there is a unhealthy rejection and allergy to leadership.
Yep.
Which really doesn't serve, because for me, one big mental breakthrough was the more distributed, decentralized, self-managed you are, the more important your leadership is.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because if you cannot tell people what to do, you need to inspire them.
Sure.
To pull in a shared direction, because an organization is all about pulling together in a shared direction.
Right.
And if you're my slave,
yes,
I don't need to inspire you, whatever. You don't need to understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
I just need to figure out how to give you clear instructions.
Yep.
And a modern corporation is barely one step forward from that.
Okay.
Right? I tell you what to do. Yes, I'd like you to understand. Yes, I'd like you to be inspired because you produce better. But the bottom line is I fire you and I've got all of these sticks and carrots to just make you do what you're told.
Yeah.
And this goes to very high levels. I'll never forget one of my good friends who's quite successful, and now he was a developer, but he started in the 90s, got real estate in the 90s, invested in Apple 20 years ago, like the successful developer route. So now he's a millionaire, he doesn't have to work. But I remember at one point I asked him, it's like, what are you working on? He says, like, I'm working on this thing, but I think it's stupid. And I was like, really? Tell me more. He said, like, I think this product is bad for the customer, bad for the company.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense. Right. And I was like, well, who decided? It says, like, I don't, and he's a senior, like the top engineering level in that organization. I was like, well, who decided? It says, like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, do you not have any influence? Like, no, nobody listens to me. And I was like,
wow.
Senior principal engineer, whatever the highest level thing is.
Yeah.
And he is working, and he was like, yeah, but they pay me too much. I'm not going to quit. So, you can, in a corporation, you don't need people to understand because there's enough systems for obedience. But when you have a circular organization and decentralized organization, you have no power over people,
Right.
They need to understand what they're doing, why pulling together makes sense. And you need people to pull together in a shared direction.
Yes.
So leadership, inspirational leadership, servant leadership, steward leadership is much, much more important in that environment.
That explains a lot, because I will only do the latter. I refuse to climb a hierarchy in most cases, Victor. And it's and now I see how these other groups are doing it, and it's sad. I mean, it's the whole idea of bullshit jobs, David Graeber kind of stuff. There's all these bullshit jobs out there, and I won't. My ethics won't let me take them.
For me, it's not my ethic; it's somehow my immune system.
See, that's it. Yes. Okay.
Let's hop to the next question.
Yes, please.
How do you think AI and agents can support us in this crazy project of building a reusable hybrid of an organization?
We can outcompete capitalism with AI agents, Victor.
Yes, but specifically in this space of organizations, I know you mentioned already at the start for helping us to remember.
Yeah.
Right. I think you mentioned. Do you have concrete ideas?
Yeah. I think AI, if these agents can do this job of the deliberately developable organization that I want every human to do in the group, which they can't do it all. AI agents can be that right brain thinking perspective on steroids that we need, that will call out patterns better than humans can, and more reliably, and honestly more graciously and lovingly, without getting, AI don't have nervous systems and flight or flight responses and these other things that we as humans have to work to overcome so well. They also don't have a lot of the creativity and a lot of the other things that and the forethought and the real kind of distance visionary stuff, as much as it seems they do. But that will give us the load off. That'll give us AI. These agents are going to be the second brain that allow us to really make use of our human.
And also, because I wanted to connect with something you said more lovingly.
Yes.
Sometimes, definitely more patiently.
Thank you.
More lovingly, I can see how people would argue. But there is also something that I've come to think of as the alarm clock effect. You set the alarm clock, it wakes you up and rings.
Right.
Unless you are really unstable, you're not angry at the alarm clock.
Right.
It's a machine. It's doing machine stuff.
Sure.
Right. So if the agent is programmed to, I don't know, tell me that I take up too much space at a meeting.
Yes.
And it says, Victor, I am not going to be, in general, mad at the agent right? Versus if it's a human being doing it, it's much easier to us. We just like, if we're not emotional towards machines because
Right.
they're machines,
Yes.
right? So if somebody came and woke you up at, whatever, every night, you would be emotional towards that person.
Right.
Or look, is a machine.
It's not, yes, emotion is going to happen. And we build in that snooze bar to that AI to say, yes, I'm taking up a ton of space. And this is really important right now. And thanks for the reminder. I'll chill out in about 10 minutes once I get my point across to this group.
Yeah. So yeah. And I think this is cool. I definitely see that. And let's start looking and finding this is what the second half of my year is. Once I think we have most of the basics of the backend and stuff, and it's time to dig into the agents. And I really need the agents for the team as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, look forward to ideating that together.
All right. Me too.
Nice.